Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. How are we? I hope we're having a wonderful morning. We are gearing up to have a very exciting hour of information and sharing. My name is Abeo Jackson. First off, let me say good morning and welcome to all of our dignitaries, all our specially invited guests, all relevant virtual protocols observed, our organizers who have truly put a lot of effort into this morning, our panelists, Mr. Rodney Taylor, Secretary General of the CTU, Dr. Kim Maleley, Vice Chair, ITU Network of Women for the WTDC for the Americas, Ms. Christie Powell, Vice President, Amex, Ms. Jamila Banister, Brand Manager and Marketing Strategist of J. Banister Branding, and Ms. Allison James, Manager of KPMG in Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. Those are our panelists who you are going to be hearing from today. And of course, good morning to our students. I'm told that we have approximately 900 plus people listening and joining us this morning from across the region. So that is really, really exciting. It is CTU Girls in ICT Day 2022. And of course, the very important boys who support them. Welcome to this webinar, and I'm going to be your chairperson for this morning. And we're hoping, of course, that it's an exciting, engaging experience for all. Before we get into it, just a couple housekeeping announcements. To interact with our speakers today, kindly post your comments in the chat located at the bottom of the screen. And should you experience difficulties while using the platform, please email us at events@ctu.int for assistance. Today's proceedings is also being streamed to Facebook Live and YouTube. And of course, the full biographies of all our speakers today can be viewed at the website. That's ctu.int/event/girls-in-ICT/, right? So we all are in the mix. We're getting ready to get into it. So what exactly is Girls in ICT Day? In fact, what is ICT? Well, of course, ICT, Information and Communication.
Recording
Technology.
in progress.
And Gen Z. So what exactly is Girls in ICT Day? It's celebrated on the fourth Thursday of every April, every year under the auspices of the United Nations International Telecommunications Union, that's the ITU. And Girls in ICT Day highlights the need to promote technology career opportunities for girls and women in the ICT sector. And of course, the boys that support them. The day serves to inspire both government and the private sector to find ways to equip girls and young women with the skills they need to become ICT professionals. And under this year's theme, Access and Safety, the ITU, in consultation with youth stakeholders, that's y'all, has identified that for girls and young women, to thrive in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, STEM careers, they need safe and reliable access to the internet and digital tools. So this year, the CTU, with the support of Restore a Sense of I Can, brings to you Girls in ICT Day 2022. So that said, let's get into it. I'd now like to introduce Mr. Rodney Taylor, that's the Secretary General of CTU, to give you some remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Abeo. Thank you for the introduction. And I'm bringing you greetings on behalf of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, an intergovernmental organization based in Trinidad and Tobago. It was established in 1989 by CARICOM heads of government to harmonize telecommunications and ICT policy within the CARICOM member states. And so we do a lot of support to our 20 member states in terms of helping them in their efforts to move their countries forward using technology, digital transformation, in other words. And technology is so critical, and COVID has taught us the value of technology in facilitating online learning for our students, Good morning, everyone, by the way, who's online. You said there were about 900. I'm sorry
That's
that I
right.
can't see all of you. Sorry we're not in one place interacting, talking, taking your questions and so on. So good morning and thanks for joining us, by the way. And I'm bringing you greetings on behalf of the CTU member states. I'm here actually in a hotel room in Miami, where we just concluded a CTU training session with the United States Telecommunications Training Institute. And the next quote I'm going to give you is from a woman, and I'll tell you who she is in a minute. But she said, girls need technology, and technology needs girls. And I thought that that really summed it up very nicely. And that is Doreen Bogdan Martin, who is the director of the Bureau of Telecoms Development for the International Telecommunications Union, and that's the organization that is at the forefront of this Girls in ICT Day. And in fact, she's actually the United States candidate for the next Secretary General, which is the top position in the same ITU organization. We spent an entire day with her today talking about plans for the upcoming World Telecommunications Development Conference, which is being hosted in Kigali, Rwanda. I'll be going along with my Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Nigel Casimir. So in terms of the CTU, one of the longest serving Secretaries General was Bernadette Lewis, and she's a national of Trinidad and Tobago, first female Secretary General. And she's also the first Secretary General. When she left the CTU, she went on to be the first Secretary General of the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization. And I worked with her for 4 years under her leadership and mentorship. And it is quite evident that women have a tremendous contribution to make in the field of technology. Prior to working with her, I also worked with many female bosses, in fact, who provided me with tremendous leadership and helped me to develop professionally. I worked with young women who've gone on now in the fields of cybersecurity and network engineering. Tremendous talent. So I really look forward to the day when we're not even having this discussion, because it is quite evident that women make a tremendous contribution in the field of technology. And so I'm quite disheartened in many areas around the world where girls are not given the opportunity to study, far less study technology, science and technology. And I'm glad that that is not the case in the Caribbean, even though we have areas for improvement. But, you know, I'm happy to be one of the supporters and from my own experience to share with you the tremendous contribution that women make in fields of technology. And over the years, I've worked with Cisco, for example, somebody's flying a drone outside my window, in Girls Power Tech. Cisco has an initiative called Girls Power Tech. And while I was the Chief Digital Technology Officer for the government of Barbados, we held a session where women at the top of their fields came and mentored young students. I also, the Caribbean Girls Hack. I worked with an initiative called Caribbean Girls Hack, girls who code and develop programs, and tremendous talent across the region. So I will just say, and I'm happy to entertain any questions as well. I wanted to bring greetings on behalf of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, share my own experience working with women in technology, and what a positive and wonderful experience it has been.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Taylor. And again, as he said, if you have any questions, feel free to post your comments in the chat located at the bottom of the screen, and we will try to pose those questions to anybody who might be on the panel. So we're moving on. We're talking about going global, and there's no better person to guide us in this realm of the conversation as our next speaker, Dr. Kim Maleley. She's a senior university lecturer with the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. Dr. Maleley is the developer of the Masters in Telecommunications Regulation and Policy, MRP, coordinating its delivery to participants for over 30 years. So she's been involved in this space for 30 years. So I think she's an excellent person to lead this conversation. So let's welcome Dr. Kim Maleley.
Thank you kindly, Sector and CTU. What a happy day this is, Girls in ICT Day 2022. This is a day that some of us take leave to pause and contemplate where, what, and who we will be in years to come, and to wonder if information and communications technology, ICT, might have a role to play in it. It's also a day that others take leave to pause and contemplate our individual journeys to where, what, and who we are today, and to consider the role that ICT has played in it. As for all our friends in the animal kingdom, we rely on information as the basis for the decisions we make and the actions we take. Also in common with our friends in the animal kingdom, we rely on communication to connect those around us, with those around us, for good and bad, for happy and sad. So you see, information and communication are fundamental to who we are as human beings, that we can create, control, and consume. The magic of the forms and functions of the channels we use to communicate. How we activate not only the 5 basic senses, but more, much more, those innate drives that emerge from deep within our souls as we are drawn to beauty, as we erupt in dance at the sound of an irresistible beat, as we explode in laughter at a meme, as we fixate on online gaming challenges, as our adrenaline rushes in our adventures through virtual worlds. So lest you think that ICT is an industry and career for programmers alone, far from it. It takes an orchestra of talents to bring life and power to ICT. And it needs you. Yep, the ICT industry needs young, creative minds like yours to forge the future, to ensure that the images, sounds, and messages that so potently impact our perceptions and behaviors do not offend or cause irreparable harm to girls and women and anyone else who might be the target of online violence. The industry needs you too to ensure that the rich resources of the internet are accessible to all peoples of the world, regardless of means, abilities, circumstances, and locations. The tradition of ICT careers in software development, network solutions and web design and architecture, telecommunications, modeling, analysis, and the like, all of which are exciting in themselves, have made room for a wonderful world of contemporary technologies like artificial intelligence and vision, robotics and biotech, data sciences and big data, the Internet of Things, that give sight to the blind, hearing to the deaf, speech to the mute, and movement to the immobile. Increasingly, the adoption of these technologies calls for cross-disciplinary expertise in philosophy, ethics, and law. It provokes us to ponder who among us is untouched by the healing hand of technology and who is tormented by its vagaries. And again, it relies on interdisciplinary responses which draw on development studies, social science, technology policy, regulation, and technical writing. But there's more. The value of the global entertainment and media market is estimated at $2.3 trillion US. That's $2.3 million in 2022 alone. And there's not only opportunity, but need for ICT competencies alongside talents such as art, imagery, storytelling, fantasy, theater, fashion, music, and disciplines such as law, business, medicine, biochemistry, finance, pedagogy, geography, linguistics, and journalism. Caribbean girls who have gone global with interdisciplinary ICT careers include Coretta Singer, multi-award-winning 3D modeler, animator, and digital artist, whose works include commercials and film projects for top local, regional, and international brands. Onika Russell, digital and visual artist with a keen interest in the nexus between handcraft and technology to explore history, culture, and social narratives, whose works have been exhibited internationally. Christine Soufran Tim, award-winning Forbes 30 Under 30 serial entrepreneur and co-founder of the global startup ecosystem, says, you need to be able to export your talents digitally to the world. If you have the fashion expertise to build bags, you can start a tuition series to teach people these skills from a St. Lucian perspective. Adela Toulon-Forster, fintech pioneer who holds computational and applied mathematics, as well as law degrees, is co-founder of a digital gold exchange and builder of online gold-backed payment systems. She's an entrepreneur passionate about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies who recognizes the critical need to understand the legislative climate under which ICT-based financial services and systems and platforms sit. Her roles have ranged from founder to advisor to janitor to regulatory arbitrage ninja. Michelle Marius, engineer, regulator, consultant, manager, and author, is the director of an ICT and telecom research and advisory firm, founder of an online platform, and publisher, editor, and primary contributor to a long-standing online ICT and telecommunications publication, which is followed across the Caribbean as well as internationally. Then there is Phaedra Mohammed at the University of the West Indies, who collaborates globally on research such as ontological engineering of the Trinidad and Tobago Dictionary of English Creole, Caribbean speech models for synthetic characters, and culturally relevant intelligent learning environments. So there you have it. ICT provides limitless opportunity to be part of an action-packed adventure in which you can express yourself in any number of ways for your personal development and enjoyment, and at the same time, bring value and enjoyment to others, and at the same time, too, promote the art, craft, language, technical skills, and intellect of the Caribbean on the world stage. ICT has given me the leeway to bring to bear my very many interests: physics, math, engineering, social justice, development studies, policy, regulation, writing, and more. It's enabled me to learn from illiterate fishers, from professionals, and from statespersons, and to work with the most amazing people you can imagine from all walks of life. It's been the center of my life of service. During your exciting journey of self-realization, which I suspect may entail some uncertainty and some insecurity, I wish you all the joy that I have had with my choice of career in ICT. I look forward to hearing that you have joined the ranks of the Girls Gone Global, carrying the Caribbean global. And I look forward to speaking with you again. God bless.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maleley. That was beautiful. That was inspiring. And she spoke of so many women, Caribbean women, who are carrying the flag of ITC, Caribbean ITC, to the world. ITC as being a major vehicle through which Caribbean communication and narrative could be shared with the world. So, you know, while you're making your memes and you're doing your TikTok challenges, which is a whole lot of fun, just know that within all of that, there is the opportunity for you to create viral sensations, write algorithms, and create new ways of seeing the world and new ways of communication. You could be a part of that. That is within the realm of possibility in terms of things that you can do. Girls in ICT, Caribbean girls in ICT, and the boys who support them. Next up, we're talking about honing our digital skills. What does that mean? How do we do that? And well, here to tell you what that is and how you do it is Miss Christie Powell. Christie Powell is Vice President of Global Head of Database Operations at American Express. Christie has served as technical advisor to the government of the Bahamas in the Office of the Prime Minister focused on digital transformation. So we now invite Ms. Powell to share and excite you.
All right, good day, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you today on Girls and ICT Day. The topic of honing your digital skills is one that's very actually near and dear to my heart, especially being from the region. I wholeheartedly believe that our students in the region are a large reservoir of untapped talent. Listen, not too long ago, I was sitting in your seat. Well, maybe a little bit now. But what is true is that most times anyone came to deliver remarks to my class, I was often a bit dubious and skeptical. I was never really certain whether or not they truly remembered what it was like to be my age. And having said that, I'll do my best in the next 10 minutes or so to make sure my remarks are relevant to you. For some of you, you'll be sitting on the edges of your seat. For others, this will go in one ear, pick up speed, and come out the next. However, I'm hopeful that some of you, it'll stick. Let me share a story with you from my life. When I was about 12 in the 6th grade, the first generation iPod had just been released. And in true form, Apple had a unique adapter that you needed to use in order for it to be compatible with your computer. Now, back in the day, my parents couldn't afford an Apple computer, but we did have a Windows machine at home. And of course, I wanted to use my newly minted iPod. Now, none of you are probably old enough to remember this tool called Ask Jeeves, but it was a search engine similar to Google, which has now obviously become a household name. And nonetheless, I did some research, figured out what I needed to do to get this device up and running. So I called my grandmother, who lived in New York at the time, and said, "Grammy, this is what I need you to purchase for me." Through the regular mail system, I received the network card that I needed. I proceeded to open up our only computer in our house, and I stuck it in. Wham, I got the blue screen to death. So frantically, I went back to ask Jeeves again, because I knew if I didn't fix that computer, there was definitely a question Jeeves wouldn't be able to answer, and that would have been how to escape that butt whooping from my mom and my dad when they got back home. So fast forward a few days later, I finally figured it out, and there I was, carrying around hundreds of songs in my back pocket. This part of my life I call luck. That was the moment that I knew I wanted to study computers for the rest of my life. And I call it luck because I believe that the harder you work, the more luck finds you. Additionally, I was lucky to figure out at an early age that that's exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up. I knew who I wanted to be. The other lesson embroidered in there is that there will be moments in your life where you won't have all of the answers, but you certainly can't give up. You have to continue to be curious. Albert Einstein said that he didn't have any special talent, but he was passionately curious. And the other lesson here is adversity. I could have given up, but I definitely wouldn't have had all of the songs if I did. And although I faced adversity, I was curious, and that curiosity is what fuels your discovery, and it certainly fuels learning. Let me take this opportunity to introduce to you another Black female engineer. How many of you use Google Maps at home or when you travel to find your favorite store or favorite restaurant? Well, that technology that powers Google Maps, and one time ago, a technology called MapQuest, was developed by a female engineer, Gladys West. Most of us use GPS on a regular basis, and we do it without even thinking about how the technology behind it was developed or created and who even did it. Gladys was curious and determined in her role. She programmed this really large IBM 7030 stretch computer back in the day, which was significantly faster than any other machine at that time, and worked with really, really large data sets. I'm sure that couldn't have been easy for her every day, but every day she showed up and every day she tried. Here's another story for you. When I went off to university, I thought I wanted to study computer engineering. Now, believe it or not, electrical engineering was a much better choice at the time. And after discussing my career options with my advisors, they solidified that. But truth be told, I didn't want to be an electrical engineer. And the reality is, I just didn't want someone to call me an electrician. Now, there's nothing wrong with people in that field, but that was definitely a personal hang-up and bias that I had. So I pursued computer engineering and electrical engineering as a double major for some time. And during that time, I definitely thought I was cool. But as the months progressed, being an electrical engineering major was definitely my true calling. So I dropped the computer engineering because studying EE was exactly what I wanted to do. This part of my life, I call change. You have to remain adaptable. You have to have an open mind. And that's really the only way for new information to soak in. You have to be able to be a sponge to soak up life's lessons, no matter how hard they may be or how difficult they may be to hear. Technology is the same way. You're cruising along, doing things a certain way, and then you hit the wall of technology that causes you to pivot, change, and adapt to certainly a new way of thinking. The other lesson mixed in that little story is courage. The courage to follow my dreams, no matter what the masses would have thought. So I encourage you to step boldly into the future and go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Gladys West grew up on a farm, and I'm sure her parents wanted her to follow in their footsteps. She knew from a young age that she didn't want to be a farmer, but the mathematician in her still had to help harvest crops on her family's small farm in her younger days. The hard work started in the wee hours of the morning and lasted well into the dead of the heat in the afternoon. She hated the dirt, but while she worked, she kept her mind on her big, scary, audacious goals and her eyes set on a building that was off in the distance, her school. She knew that an education was her way to opportunity. She knew that an education was her way out. She wanted a change that was different from her parents, and she had the courage to remain steadfast to her dreams. The final story I'll share with you before I give it to someone else is a little closer to the present time. I've worked for some really tough companies and governments, and they're all very, very hard to get into. But there was one in particular throughout my career that was much harder than any others, and that was Google. I applied to Google more than once, certainly more than twice, but it was a dream job. And I think it's actually everyone's dream company to work for at some point in their career, if they're studying science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. As luck would have it, one day the recruiter called again. And this time around, I was hell-bent on being prepared. I studied harder, and 8 interviews later, which certainly felt like 1,000 interviews later, I finally got in. Getting in, I thought, was hard, but continuing my career in technology was even harder. You can't ever stop learning, growing, and challenging yourself, because if you do, you'll become stagnant. You won't be able to climb that corporate ladder of success. As the technology changes, you have to evolve as well and continue to learn new concepts. And learning can look different for different people. I'm done with university, I'm done with all of my classes and grade school, but I take classes online, I attend university lectures, and I read books just for fun. This part of my life, I call the grind. As a Black female in a male-dominated field, sometimes I suffer from imposter syndrome. I would constantly ask myself, am I good enough? Can I really do this? Do I have what it takes? And that happens to everyone. It's okay to listen to that inner voice, but sometimes you have to silence it. I knew I had to always cross my T's and dot my I's with everything that it is that I did. I walked into work every day, hearing the voice of my mother in my ear saying, when you leave this house, remember, you're not only a reflection of yourself, but of me and your father. That kept me on the straight and narrow. So I grind while they sleep. I studied while they partied because I wanted to live like most people dream. Gladys has a similar story too. When she started her job, the Navy was just introducing computers. She was hired to do programming and coding for these large machines. She felt proud that she got the job, but she knew the hard work had literally just begun. Despite her intellectual abilities and prowess and career success, West had long wrestled with the feeling that she was inferior. It was this feeling deeply ingrained and by many like her that drove her to work as hard as she could. Imagine what the world would look like if we didn't have female engineers. You wouldn't be able to find that store or restaurant or even your friend's house that you really want. Diversity of thought and perspective is important in all areas. Remember, you deserve a seat at the table and your voice deserves to be heard. So I encourage you to lean into anything that it is that you decide to do. Gladys realized that she didn't want to beat tobacco leaves into small cigarettes and that receiving an education was her way out. As you've listened to me today, maybe you've realized it too. I'm sure Gladys and I can agree on one thing. The only time you see success before the word work is in the dictionary. There's a lesson that Gladys can take away from her parents, from the time on the farm. And that's striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest where you haven't planted. Being successful is no accident. It takes hard work, continual learning, a little sacrifice here and there, but most of all, definitely love what you're doing. And if that happens to be technology, find new ways to love it every day.
Thank you so much, Christie. That was brilliant, inspiring. Luck, change, grind. I think that was what it was. And then those 5 pillars. The harder you work, the more luck finds you. Be passionately curious, remain adaptable, step boldly into your future, and never stop learning and evolving. I think we can all take a little something from what Christie just shared with us. That was really some inspiring and beautiful stuff. All right, we keep it moving. We have 2 more fabulous women to share with us today. As young women, we are all our personal brands. Yes, I'm gonna continue to call myself a young woman for as long as I can. But building content that speaks to who we are, our personal brand, is an important criteria. Our next speaker is a dynamic young woman that is no stranger to the digital landscape in Trinidad and Tobago. She is Ms. Jamila Banister, a brand and marketing strategist from Trinidad and Tobago. She's focused on working with entrepreneurs to grow their personal brand. And she published her book, The Brand Print, and has hosted 3 global summits on business and branding. So she is pretty much what we would call an expert in the field. So we welcome her, Jamila Banister.
Hello and good morning. Thank you very much, Abiyo. Thank you for the warm welcome. And hello, ladies, and I suppose the gentlemen, I don't know if they're here on this stream. Thank you so much for having me here today. So I'm just gonna talk to you guys a little bit about branding and in particular content. I think that is what we were talking about behind the scenes at the very least. So I'm gonna give you just 5 tips or 5 things I think you need to keep in mind when it comes to building your brand and leveraging content to do so, right? So the first thing I want to say is that when it comes to branding or personal brand, everybody has one, whether or not you recognize or know that. The difference with the people who can leverage that successfully is the people who actually are very intentional about how they want to show up and to whom they would like to show up. So many of you are, well, you guys are in school and you're at a stage now where you're building, and it's not like when I was in school, when we didn't have social media, when we didn't have the internet as pervasively as we have it now. You know, I had a little MSN, maybe a bit of ICQ, you talk to your friends after school, but it wasn't like, you know, everywhere you go, social media, everywhere you go, somebody's a producer because they have a camera, right? Now, everybody could be their own little mini media house. Everybody can use content, use media, and be more intentional about their personal brand and do it so in a much easier way than, say, 10, 20 years ago. So the first thing I would say when it comes to building your personal brand is to remember that you have to be intentional about building this thing, and you have to determine, what do I want people to know about me, and what do I want them to know me for? What do I want them to associate my name with? Now, I know you guys, as I said, I know you guys in school, but it doesn't mean that it's too early for you to start thinking about where I want to be. Some of you probably have already figured out what you want to do in life. And even if you haven't figured that out, that's okay. The internet is a vast place, and you find that sometimes the thing that you are enjoying doing as a hobby might actually turn into something that you can turn into a career. Because I can tell you one thing, I would always get, Jamila talks too much on her report book. I know I talk all the time, right? People pay me for that, right? So the thing that you're doing now very well might be the thing that turns into a career for you. So I would say really enjoy that while you can. And the brand that you're building now, because I got, you know, my brand was that I talked a lot and I was always out front. And that's the brand that actually shaped the fact that I'm teaching other people how to do it now. So think about how intentional you could be with the things that you're doing now. Even the things you don't think that people value, yeah, those things can actually affect how you put yourself out there in the future, right? So it's not too early for you to start thinking about personal branding. It's not too early at all. Some of you have figured it out. Even if you haven't, you're probably doing what you're going to do later on in life. So that's something to remember. So just be intentional about it and double down on it. The next thing I want you to remember is that, you know, as you grow and in the age we're in now, people will search for you online. It's not that if, it's they will do it, right? They're going to put your name in Google, and even if they can't find you in Google, they might put your name in TikTok. They might find you on there, right? They might put your name on Instagram. They're going to look for you. And especially if you are, let's say you may be looking to head into university, or you may have left, you may be looking to leave sixth form, maybe looking for a job, even fifth form, you know, you're looking to get your first internship or whatever the case may be. Know that the brand that you curate online can have impact on the way people perceive you, and it will have impact on the way people perceive you. So again, add that intention to the way that you curate your presence online. What are the things you are posting? What are the things you want people to see first and to know first about you? What are the things that you want them to see all the time? So is it that you have a one persona on one platform and another persona on another platform and a third persona somewhere else? But some people are like that, you know, the behavior that they engage in on TikTok is very different to the behavior they engage in on Facebook, where their parents may be, or their aunts or their grandmother might be online. And on TikTok, you're having a whole different kind of party that, you know, you wouldn't allow everybody to see. So, but the thing of it is the internet is open and forever, and people can't find you. So you have to think about, you know, when people search, what do I want them to find? What do I want them to see? What do I want them to know primarily, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to remember is that the internet is forever. So you might be thinking that, you know, I'm doing something now, it's cool, or whatever the case may be. And, you know, I'm just a teen, which is true, you know, you're young, you know. But we've seen cases of tweets that came back 10 years after and hurt people's careers, right? We've seen tweets from people like Kevin Hart. We've seen tweets from people, even political people right here in this country. Oh, something you said in 2010, you said this 10 years ago. I remember when you said this, right? Remember, the internet is forever. So always think before you post, think before you put things out there. It's important to also remember that, you know, you can mix fun with education. So I would always advise you to follow people who can teach you stuff. So it's not just about following the trend or doing the latest dances on TikToks or doing the memes or whatever, the voiceovers. But I would also encourage you to mix in people who can actually teach you things that you may find fun. Learn something from the internet. Learn the things, because content is not just there for you to put it out, but it's also for you to take it in, right? And the things that you learn can help you become a better version of yourself, a more sharp version of yourself, a more well-rounded version of yourself. And that will be reflected in the things that you post, the things that you say, the things that you write, when you speak to people, the conversations that you have. So you would realize that you are not the average girl, right? You are that girl who knows because you're aware and you have been paying attention. You've been reading, you've been learning, and you've been following people who could actually teach you stuff. So while you're doing what do they call the dance? The floss? I don't know. I'm not that cool, right? But you always have something that you could actually talk about, something of substance that is interesting to you and that is of interest to you and the people that you line with or whatever, right? The next thing I want to tell you is that your content is an asset. Never forget this. This is something that can set you up quite literally for the rest of your life. I don't know if you guys ever saw, there's a child, I really can't remember his name, but he does reviews of toys, and his parents have $1 million empire from him reviewing toys, right? I think he's one of the biggest earners on YouTube. This child is not even 18 years old yet. And videos help them make money through sponsorship deals, through partnerships. So your content is an asset. Because 10 years from now, people could probably go back online, look at those YouTube videos and see what was said about that particular toy, right? Your content is an asset, and it could teach people about you for years to come. It can make you money, and it would also connect you with people who you never thought you would cross paths with in regular life. So yesterday, I made $3.50 from Amazon, and I felt so happy, right? And it's because of a book I actually wrote, and the same book, I put it on Amazon, and I swear I have not shared that Amazon link in probably 6 months. Sometimes I forget that book is on Amazon, but when I see these emails come in with, even if it's like $1, it tells me that somebody read my book because somebody bought it, That's the only way I'm able to get that money, right? So it means that your content can make you money, but you have to be smart about how you put it out there, and it has to be of value to other people. And the thing that you use to create that value is the brand that people will know you for. So think about it. What can you teach somebody now that they probably wouldn't know? Something that is second nature to you. And make no mistake, the things that are easy and second nature to you, there's some people who have no idea how to do it. Remember that. There's always somebody who does not know, right? Even something as simple as using TikTok. I see people creating books and they sell them and people make some money, right? It might be a whole bunch, but over time it adds up. So remember, your content is an asset, and it could also put you in connection, introduce you to people. You never know who's going to read your book, watch your show, watch your video, love what you do, and be interested in what you have going on. It is something that can really set you up for the rest of your life, but it can only be done. It will only be of value when you curate a brand that people could hold on to and something that you can add value to. So if you want to be known as the next, I don't want to say the next, if you want to be known as someone who is great in the field of food, you want to cook well, or you're in the field of gaming, you can game well, right? Or in the field of makeup artistry, or you can clearly see, right? The game of cosmetics and the game of beauty, you know, you want to be able to create things. Lots of people have channels where they just review products that they may have bought, you know, they may eat food and say, well, this tastes great, or this didn't taste too good. You know, people have whole channels dedicated to that. And that's something easy and simple you can do. I see this young guy who's cooking on TikTok, and his videos have so many views. He could probably set himself up to become another chef, you know, a chef somewhere. He's building a brand that he wants people to see, and it's not too early for you. It is an asset, and it could keep paying you. You just have to be smart about it. Make sure that it's valuable. The fifth thing I want you to remember is comments are content, and they are very real, and they can really affect people. So one of the things I think people take for granted is sometimes, you know, when people are behind their keyboard and they're hidden, you know, they're like keyboard warriors, they type in those comments. And, you know, they're saying anything that comes, they're saying the first thing that comes to their mind. As like on TikTok, I experience it. People say all sorts of things in my comments. My brother experiences a lot, you know, but you know what? At the end of the day, comments are real. And depending on whose thing you're commenting on, it can be really mean. And people do remember when they see, and trust me, it's very easy to figure out who makes certain types of comments. But if you are somebody who is supporting, because I know this is about the boys who support them, right? If you're in comments, support people, show up for them, be encouraging, because those are the things that will also build your brand. People remember you when you do those things. Comments are content. It's not just about the things you post. It's about the things you comment on, the things you share, the things you endorse, the things you retweet, the things you repost. All those things create value for people, and they create an impression of the type of brand that you want to build, or the things you endorse, or the things you are behind. So I want you to remember that a lot. And the final point I have here is that you can really make an impact now. You don't have to wait until you graduate. You don't have to wait until you get a better phone. You can make content with the phone you have. Don't think you can't, right? You don't have to have a production crew. This is not a movie. This is not Hollywood. You can make your videos with whatever video you have. You can edit from your phone with apps like InShot and CapCut. You can write if you feel you want to write a piece of poetry. You can blog right now. You can have your own TV on the internet right now. You can do that right now. You don't have to wait for anybody's permission. You don't have to wait, well, unless you have to get your parents' permission, of course, you know, but you don't have to wait for anybody to say, well, you could do this, or wait till you get a new phone. You can do that right now and start building. So by the time you leave school, you would have had 3, 4, 5 solid years of content creation. So you are coming out more experienced than people who wouldn't have learned this in school, and you are ready to hit the ground running because you've been producing content for a while, right? So you would be very good at what you're doing because you spend so much time in it. So remember the brand you want to build. Again, you can make impact now. You can start now. You probably are already doing what you're going to do. You just don't realize it yet. You would see. So remember just to be intentional. Remember, character is just as important as education. It's not just about what you can teach and know. It's about the person who you are and the character that you have as you engage with people. That is also a very fundamental part of the personal brand that you're building. So I want you to remember to show up, be good, be kind to people, have integrity. Don't steal somebody else's thing and try to pass stuff as yours. No, we're not about that, right? And keep doing the thing. Even if it's not perfect, doesn't matter. We still like to see the growth and the journey, but feel free to do so, and also feel free to connect with people. And also, one last thing, don't forget that the internet is just one part of life. You also have to connect with people in real life, right? Connect with people in real life, make friends, engage, talk to people, because the real deals happen off the internet. Do not forget. All right, so that's it for me. I hope you guys are inspired to write a book or do something cool right now, or make a next video. I'm looking out for you, and I will hopefully connect with you guys on TikTok or something. All right, so that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Jamila. Thank you. Such a warm, bubbly, bright kind of a light energy, which we love. So she spoke branding. We all have a personal brand. It's like your calling card. How do you want to show up? Who do you want to show up as? Where are you showing up? Be intentional. Find balance. There was one more thing she said that I really like. Oh, the allowing of the interwebs to be a positive space of learning. That's a really good one. So we're having fun using the various platforms, using the technology, but at the same time, we're finding ways to innovate, and we're finding ways to learn, and we're also finding ways to share with others. I think, it sounds cliched, but all of this really is about making the world a better place. It sounds very cliched, but if that's not what you're aiming to do in life, then what is the point of it all, right? Yeah? Okay, so we have one more speaker, one more person to share with you, and she really is talking about the thing that is very, very critical to the theme of this year. When we talk access and safety, we're definitely talking about online safety, which is critical in the digital age that young people, and especially young women, navigate. So here to present to you on staying safe online is Ms. Allison James. Ms. James is a certified information security professional. Now you see how many professions are inside of this whole ICT business, eh? You see how many? Right, so she is an information security professional, and her focus is on the digital agenda, specifically the wider adoption of cybersecurity and data privacy within the region. So we welcome Ms. Allison James to talk to us about online safety.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So pleasure to be here to speak with you. I love that we're reaching the whole region. I miss the intimacy, but I love the reach. Before I start, let me just say that I really do believe that I love the fact that women are empowered to protect themselves. We all should be. Girls at school, don't be defenseless, don't be scared. And guys, help your sisters to be aware, alert, and always ready to defend themselves. Now, after hearing some great discussions from our previous presenters about all the great things that you can do online, building your online content, I just want to bring it in and say, guys, let's do it, but be safe. So I have a few slides for you, but really this is going to be as casual as I can make it. So just some quick talking points. I want to really bring it home to just say, well, who are you? I want to tell you why you are important, why your data is important, why your information is important, and some quick tips for staying safe online. So who are you? Who are you? Might be a bit deep of a question so early in the day, but knowing who you are puts you in a position to be able to know that you matter and that your information is important. So who are you in reality versus who are you online? The previous presenter spoke about building your online content and your branding. What are you sharing? And I just have some quick comments on things that identify you as a person, whether it is in real life or online. For example, your personal information, your name, address, where you live, email, passport number, ID number, date of birth, device IDs. And these are things that you really don't want to just share with people randomly. Linkable information. Can somebody use different types of information to figure out who you are, where you live, who your family members are? And your personal data. What do you post on social media? What's in your browser history? You know, what are you doing online? What are you transacting? What are you buying online? So this kind of stuff, these kind of information can be used to kind of build a profile on you to say who you are in reality and who you are online. But why does this matter? Why is this a big deal? Why? Because the first step in any successful hack is collecting information on someone, reconnaissance. So you may have, let's say you have a stalker, a cyber stalker, you have someone who wants to hack into your systems. They will look at your profiles online, they will Google you, they will check out your TikTok, they will check to see what you like, what are you sharing online, what are your likes, maybe your first pet, you know, these things. And they can build a profile on you. They can even then use that information they have, like say you're a dog person. If you're a dog person, they can say, okay, let me give her some memes on dog stuff or send some links to him or her on dogs or games or whatever you like. And then they can trick you into even revealing more information that you might not generally share. And this can be used now to create a profile on you and then help them to orchestrate a more targeted attack on you, whether it's a phishing attack, ransomware, find ways to hack your devices, hack your Internet of Things, like if you have your Fitbits and you know, if you're using Siri or Alexa often, you know, they can use that information you share online to then attack you. So I know we've all seen this meme. This is Bill. Bill doesn't broadcast the details of his private life on social media for sympathy or attention. Bill is smart. Be like Bill. So I'm talking about the TikTok, what you share on TikTok, what you share on IG, Snapchat, even your gaming platforms. What are you sharing on Discord? Who are you talking to? Who are you connecting with? Which servers are you playing games on? Fortnite, Apex. What are you sharing? And as I said, okay, right. And as I said, you are important. Your information matters. So it's your data, it's your say. So what are you sharing online? If we were in person, I would ask these questions and I would hope to get some responses, but you get away because we're not in that space right now. But think about it. What do you share online? What is your digital identity? How easy would it be for a rando to use your public data and trace back to you or your loved ones? Now, with evolving privacy legislation, data privacy legislation, you have rights to ensure that the apps you use protect any information that you share. You know, there's that long disclaimer, those long agreements that we all just flick through and just say agree, agree, agree. But at the end of the day, it is your information. You have the control, you have the power of what you share and what you don't share. So you should share responsibly. Remember, you are important. Your digital identity is important, so you should protect it. So, just 10 tips for staying safe online. And I'm sure that these are not foreign to most of you. but just some reminders, because we all need reminders every once in a while. So as I said, be responsible in what you share online. You know, be careful what you share online. Don't share, yes, you can share random things that might not mean anything, but you know, don't share your location, don't share all the time where you're going just to everyone on your social media. Not wise. Keep your device secure. So use security software, don't skip on your updates. Usually your phone pushes out some updates. You can just go and click those through. Customize your browser security settings. You know, for example, WhatsApp and some of the other apps, they actually have a security settings section. Check through it, see what's in there and make sure you choose the right options. Clear cache and browsing history. Now, suppose someone did get into your phone. You don't want to give them extra information on your past history. Clear it every once in a while. Watch what you download and where you download it from. For your passwords, use passphrases or complex passwords where you have the option. Don't use personal usernames in your gamer tags. Don't answer personal questions accurately. I mean, it's not good to lie, but you know, if you're talking to a random stranger online, don't give them information that they shouldn't know. They can use it against you. Watch out for links and pop-ups. And if anyone is bullying you online, any strangers come talking to you, just block them. Don't even waste time, just block. Block and delete, block and delete. Mm-hmm. So this is the end of my presentation, my brief chat with you guys. I hope you found something that you can take away and give you some good tips about sharing online. Remember, guys, stay safe and keep it real. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alison. Thank you, Alison. I feel as though you technically spoke to me directly, particularly when you talked about using security software and not skipping updates and clearing your browser history. Because my computer just crashed just before this, which is why I'm using my phone. And I feel as though you were directly speaking to me there, directly. But yes, thank you very much for that. But thank you. So Alison, pretty much to sum up what she said, be mindful of your online footprint and profile. Pretty much that's what she's saying. You know, that, you know, you are important, your digital identity is important, and therefore you should protect it, which links extremely well to what Jamila would have said before in terms of your content being an asset. And if your content is an asset, therefore you want to protect your devices, you want to protect your identity, you want to protect your brand. And that is why, that's part of the reason why online safety ties so importantly into this whole thing, as well as, of course, protecting your person, because there are ways for people to access you physically as well through using your online content. So that brings us to the end of our presenters for this morning. We had Mr. Rodney Taylor, we had Dr. Maleley, Ms. Powell, Ms. Banister, Ms. James. And you know, now would have been an excellent time for us to have some questions. As I said, I am dealing with some dodgy technology myself this morning, so I'm not quite sure if I'm missing the questions. But I'm going to hope that if there were any questions that we fielded, they would pop up inside of the chat that I'm seeing here inside of Zoom. I would also open the floor as well for anybody who is on the panel, who is still in the mix, who might want to just share any last closing comments before I wrap it up, if we don't get any questions fielded from all of the folks who are listening in. Now would be an excellent time for that. So we have a question from Randall Reyes, and this question probably would be best fielded towards Alison. He says, if I'm hacked, what do I do? Alison, you want to take that one?
Hi, thank you for that question. Oh, if you're hacked, what do you do? first off, I would suggest that you try to figure out the source of where the hack happened. Try to refresh your systems. First off, for sure, come offline. Take off your Wi-Fi, your mobile data, so at least that connection is not there. And after that, try to do some research to say where the hack happened and correct where the gaps are. I'm conscious that I'm speaking to persons who are at secondary school. So hopefully you don't have your credit cards or your mom's credit cards.
Yes. I'm assuming these would be young people who would be concerned about maybe their social media platforms being hacked, on that level, maybe your TikTok, your Facebook, especially with Facebook where it's the metaverse, and like Facebook and Instagram is now linked, as well as WhatsApp and all these kinds of things. So maybe it's from that perspective.
Yeah, everything is linked right now these days. So yeah. What I would say though is that before you get hacked, remember that anything is possible. So you should have set up things in place whereby you have like an alternate way of checking to disconnect your accounts. There's that way where you have, how do I explain it? For example, Google, they log if there's like an unauthorized or a weird attempt to log into your systems. So once you set up your two-factor authentications and those kind of security measures, it gives you a fighting chance of cutting off or preventing a hack from really happening. The best, what is it to say? The best offense, the strong defense, or the wrong way around. But prevention is better than cure.
The best offense is a strong defense, or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yes, that is it.
Yes.
That is it.
Yes.
That is it. Yeah, but as soon as you can, disconnect as much as you can from the platform that has been hacked and work backwards. Okay. Delete all you can, your history, delete everything, notify the ones that are close to you so that they are not in turn hacked by, the person now reaching out to them with fake links and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Right.
But better to be safe than, yeah. And also we have another point. Yeah, I see another point here in the chat as well too. Go ahead, Abia, sorry.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to raise, where they were saying you can also review the permissions on your various apps, etc. Just beef up permissions in terms of, I suppose, who can comment on what, who can access what, the two-factor authentication. I know for my Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, I have alternate ways. I have friends who can access my account if something were to happen to me, those kinds of things. So I guess those sorts of permissions you can also look at on the various apps as well.
Yes, and also not just on the apps, so who has access, but also in terms of what permissions you give the apps on your phone. Because sometimes some apps use for access to your phone, like, for access to your pictures and everything. And do you really need that? Do you always have to have your location on? Do you really? Yeah. Prevention is better than cure.
Great. Any other questions? I know the whole branding and content creation thing is a very, very hot topic. If we have any young content creators that are listening in that might have any questions as well, feel free to field them now. Feel free to field them now. And of course, if you do have any questions after the fact, you can also always check out the websites and the various social media platforms Again, the website is ctu.int/event/girls-in-ICT/. So, you know, there are always ways to get in contact with the organizers of the event if you have any questions for any of the people who would have presented after the fact. So that being said, seeing as we have a somewhat shy kind of viewership today, that's fine. We want to thank all of you for joining us today. We want to thank again our entire panel for sharing with us this morning, Mr. Rodney Taylor, Dr. Kim Maleley, Ms. Christie Powell, Ms. Jamila Banister, and Ms. Allison James. And I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be a part. I think I learned just as much this morning. It's always great to have a refresher. It's always great to think about new things. Allison gave me a lot to think about, as did Jamila. And, you know, we continue to encourage our young women to be brave, and the boys who support them, we can't forget them, to be brave, understand that the internet is forever, be intentional with your content creation and with what you post, and the life and personality and footprint that you want to create using information and communication technology. So we thank you so much for joining us for this year's CTU Girls in ICT Day and the boys who support them. We thank you so much to our organizers and all of the stakeholders who've been involved in pulling this together. And we hope to see you guys again